Hi, in this video we're going to be looking at anaerobic respiration in plants. There is more content, quizzes and past papers on the website, which is www.elevise.co.uk. So let's get started. Anaerobic respiration is respiration without oxygen. Anaerobic respiration in animals is different to anaerobic respiration in plants and yeast. This video is about anaerobic respiration in plants, but first let's have a look at anaerobic respiration in animals. Anaerobic respiration in animals is the breakdown of glucose without oxygen. So glucose breaks down to give us lactic acid and energy. The formula for glucose is C6H12O6, and this breaks down to give us 2 lots of lactic acid, and lactic acid is C3H6O3. There is a separate video that looks at anaerobic respiration in humans and animals in more detail. Plants and some microorganisms such as yeast are able to anaerobically respire. However, when plants or yeast anaerobically respire, they produce ethanol and carbon dioxide instead of lactic acid. The word equation is as follows. Glucose breaks down to produce ethanol and carbon dioxide. Glucose is C6H12O6, and this produces 2 ethanol molecules, and each ethanol molecule is C2H5OH, and then we get 2 carbon dioxide molecules, and this is 2CO2. Let's have a look at yeast in more detail, because yeast are very important in the making of bread and also the making of beers and wine. Yeast is important in the bread making process because it causes the dough to rise. Yeast are able to aerobically and anaerobically respire. The yeast in bread starts off respiring aerobically, and this is because there is plenty of oxygen available. This aerobic respiration produces water and carbon dioxide, and this is why the dough rises. However, the oxygen will eventually run out, and when it does, the yeast in the bread will switch from respiring aerobically to respiring anaerobically. Anaerobic respiration produces ethanol and carbon dioxide. The ethanol boils away when the bread is cooked, so bread doesn't contain any alcohol at all. The anaerobic respiration of yeast is known as fermentation, and here is the definition for fermentation. Fermentation is the chemical breakdown of a substance by bacteria, yeast, or other microorganisms. In addition to making bread, the fermentation of yeast is used to produce many alcoholic drinks. The yeast is placed into an oxygen-free environment, and the environment has to be oxygen-free so that the yeast respires anaerobically, producing alcohol, rather than respiring aerobically, which it would if oxygen was available. The anaerobic respiration of yeast results in ethanol and carbon dioxide being produced. The fermentation of yeast is used to produce beers and wines. Beers have a rough concentration of alcohol between 2 and 5%, and wines have a rough concentration between 9 and 15%. This brings us to the end of this video. For more content, quizzes and past papers, go onto the website, which is www.elevise.co.uk.